What's going on, and welcome back to another episode of money saving gear hacks and tips and tricks of the trade. And in this video we're going to be going over the setup of 20 to roughly 50 feet of tubular nylon on your kit for an array of different applications. Now before I get too far into it, I will say this: for the applications, I am not going to break down how to set up every single one of them. However, I will link all of the videos in the description for how to set up the tubular nylon for those individual applications. The key for this video is really just to emphasize these are the applications you can use tubular nylon for, and then this is how you can set up the tubular nylon on your kit so that way you have it in the event that you need it. So to kick it off, when it comes to the applications that you can use tubular nylon for, or 1-inch tubular nylon, you can use it to set up a Swiss seat or a improvised seated rappelling harness. You can also set it up for a full body improvised rappelling harness, and then you can also do some of the anchors for rappelling as well with that tubular nylon. So for that, you're going to need anywhere from 20 to 50 feet, 20 feet for the seated harness, and then up to 50 feet for the full body harness, and then maybe a little bit extra for any anchors that you may want to run as well. So you have the ability to do quite a bit in the rappelling world with that tubular nylon. And then in conjunction with that, you can also set up improvised ladders with tubular nylon, and then you can also set up improvised pull-less litters, both a 4-point or a 4-handle pull-less litter as well as a 6-handle pull-less litter. And then you can also set the tubular nylon up for drag lines and drag loops, which can be utilized for casualty pretty much egress, or getting those dudes out of a bad situation and behind cover and concealment as fast as possible. So you have quite a few options when it comes to the application piece. So that's kind of the why behind having 20 to 50 feet of tubular nylon on your kit. Now with that, I am going to focus mostly on just the rolled setup of this on your kit. You can daisy chain this stuff as well. If you're going to daisy chain it, I would recommend just throwing it in a pouch. I'll show you how to daisy chain it, but I won't set it up on the actual plate carrier. So with that, once you have your 20 to 50 feet of tubular nylon, all you have to do is tie a knot in the bottom. It doesn't have to be any special knot, just a knot. An overhand is typically what I go with. Some guys will do a figure 8, and some guys will do like a water knot. It just kind of depends on the individual. So it's entirely up to you on what knot you want to use. Just understand that there may be certain knots that you have to use for certain applications, especially for the harnesses stuff and all the rappelling stuff. You're going to need something that's not going to come undone. But once you have that knot in the bottom of it, you'll just find the center point, roll it up, and then once you get it to a certain point, you may have this tail kind of off to the side. I would just recommend taking both your index fingers, putting one on either side of the interior loop, and then you can shift the tubular nylon to where the knot will end up sitting roughly right at the base of the bottom of the rolled tubular nylon. So with that, once you have it in this configuration, you can set this up a couple different ways on the plate carrier. You can set it up on the front. I have seen this, not as common, but I have seen a couple of guys do this. They'll set it up on the front. You'll do 2 elastic loops or hair ties or rubber bands on either side, and then you'll set this up by just passing the tubular nylon through here, or through that retainer. And then these 2 inner ones end up being for tourniquets. So your tourniquet kind of covers up your tubular nylon. You can double loop it with these hair ties. It's completely up to you. And then if you want to throw one on the center, you can do that as well. But in this configuration, you can just take this knot, grab it, pull it out, and this whole entire thing will essentially unravel from the hair ties. You do need to be cognizant though, if you do pull hard enough, it will break these hair ties, so be careful about it. Just to demonstrate, you pull hard or pull lightly, you can see it kind of rolls, and this is where it would break at that point. You have this kind of tension point, it'll pop out, and then the whole entire roll comes out of your kit. So that's going to be the front loaded version. For the back loaded version, there's a couple of ways you can do it as well. You can do the same thing on the back at the bottom of the plate carrier here. You're just gonna, if you have a tool pouch for breeching and all that stuff, I would just recommend running this tool pouch outside of the tubular nylon. That way the tool pouch kind of keeps that tubular nylon in place and then holds it down here at the bottom of the plate carrier. So you can do that same configuration as the front, and you're just adjusting those elastic hair ties or rubber bands to control your entire rolled piece of tubular nylon. And then last but not least, we also have the vertical configuration. So as I was talking about, when it comes to that rolling piece, we'll roll it up real quick. Just find the center. So I have my knot side. I'll pull this all the way out, find the center roughly, and then from here you're just measuring the vertical distance of the plate carrier with the tubular nylon, just getting an estimate. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you'll go in and just roll this up. I'll do this real quick off to the side. That way it's a little bit faster. All right, so you can see here, pretty close to the bottom of the rolled tubular nylon. If you need to, you just make adjustments by just rolling this out or in to where it's exactly where you want it. Not perfect on this one, but it will do. So get all that nice and tight, and then we'll come over to the plate carrier. If you're going to do this vertically, I would recommend, well, two things. Make sure the knot is at the bottom, so that way the knot is essentially hanging off the bottom of the plate carrier, barely exposed. It doesn't need to be hanging way off to where you grow in a tail. But have that knot here at the bottom, just underneath your bottom hair tie, so then that way when you pull this, it'll pull the entire thing, kind of like I showed you on the front side. So, but with the top, and then have that knot to the outside of the plate carrier or the outside of the plate bag. So if it's on the left side, or I should say on the right side for this video, the knot is facing the right side of the plate carrier, and then if it's on the left side, the knot is facing to the left side of the plate carrier. It'll just make it easier to find that actual knot on your kit. But with that, if you're going to do it vertically, I would recommend double looping the hair ties. It may take a little bit of work to where you kind of have to work some elastic out of the hair tie itself to be able to do it, but if you can get that hair tie to wrap around twice, I think we'll get lucky on this one. It will help retain the entire tubular nylon roll, so that way it doesn't come out of your kit as easily. You only need to do it on the top. It's really just there to control and prevent the whole entire thing from just sliding out on from both loops. And then on the bottom one, you can just do a single loop around the actual tubular nylon. Get a little messy on me. All right. If it gets a little messy when you're trying to set this up on your kit, it's super easy to keep it organized or get it back into kind of an organized manner. You'll just kind of pull tight on the tubular nylon and it will stretch itself out like you see there. So from here, we'll just adjust that knot to be as close to the bottom as possible. And then the same thing when you're trying to employ this, you grab that knot. You're gonna have to pull a lot harder because of the double loop here up at the top, but you'll just pull that hard. It will end up breaking this top loop. The bottom one may stay in place, it may not, but either way, you're probably gonna break both of them. Pull that all the way out and then you'll be good to go. So that is kind of the setup and configuration of tubular nylon on your kit. This is my preferred. And before I forget, I'll show you here since I almost forgot, but when you pull it, it'll break just like that. And then you may have it stick on your kit, it may not, or on the tubular nylon. But last but not least, if you do want to do this, this is also the last way you can set this stuff up. If you want to braid this, because you can do that, you'll find the center of your tubular nylon. All right, so you'll find the center, and then you're just going to create a loop. Kind of for me, have the tubular nylon in my left hand. I'll come up and over the tubular nylon itself, and then I'll take 2 to 3 fingers, grab the tubular nylon and pull it through, and then pull it kind of tight like so. And then again, 2 to 3 fingers through that loop. And you're just going to go all the way down till you get to the bottom. And then once you get to the bottom, you can pull this all the way through and then pull it tight like so. If you really want to be methodical with it, you can make these loops super, super tight. That will work. But if you keep them loose, kind of like you see here, what you can do at the bottom of this is you just take your knot after, or when you need to employ this and after you've taken it out of your pouch, pull that through, and then what you can do is you can kind of do a whip motion, and it will actually extend the entire tubular nylon out, so you can rapidly employ it. And then instead of hair tying it to your kit, you just throw this inside of a pouch. But personal preference, I prefer to just run it on the interior of the back panel, and then that way, you know, since it is a piece of equipment that doesn't get used very often, it's out of the way and doesn't interfere with different types of back panels for different mission sets and all that stuff. So that kind of concludes all of it when it comes to the overall setup. So again, just to reiterate, you know, there's a couple of different ways to set up tubular nylon on your kit for various applications, to include, you know, different seated and full body harnesses for rappelling, as well as the anchors for the rappelling capabilities, drag lines and drag loops to be able to deal with maneuvering a casualty from, you know, in the open out to behind cover, to be able to provide, you know, that buddy aid that you could do. And then a couple of different options when it comes to, you know, improvised ladders, as well as the improvised pull-less litters. Sorry about that, I had to think about it real quick. So yeah, you can do the 4-handle or the 6-handle pull-less litters with, you know, between 20 and 50 feet of tubular nylon. So just know that some of the different applications do require different lengths, so you will have to have the required length of tubular nylon for some of that. So with that, if you have any questions, please feel free, leave a comment. We'll help you out in any way that we can, and we'll see you next time.